everybody, this is Bran for a 1.5 week testosterone update. I tried fixing the lighting. A couple of people mentioned how to fix that, so thank you to my coworkers and roommate for helping me with that, and my roommate also helped me with the microphone. It is later in the day, so the natural light might actually be worse. We will see. I might switch to recording these on Sundays, because I started volunteering on Saturdays, so I might be getting back later after it's dark. Started volunteering on Saturdays. But we'll see. If I do start recording them on Sundays, it will either not make a difference because I'm actually posting these with a 1-week delay, or it will be obvious because I won't post them on a Saturday, and I will post them on a Sunday, and then that will presumably be something that shows up on the posted this many days ago thing. So that's 100% foolproof way to figure out if the posting time has changed. So I'm going to start with a question this time and then do the testosterone update at the end. And nobody asked any questions as far as I know. Maybe somebody asked them in like the last 5 minutes or something. I haven't checked. But one question that I get asked a ton is, when did you know you were trans? And the answer to this depends on if I'm really trying to convince somebody of my transness, which I do occasionally. What is up with my hair? Or if I'm just chatting with my friends who are also trans and kind of get it. And it's also all a matter of perspective. So one answer is, I've always been trans. And when I was a kid in elementary school, for example, we divided the class up based on gender for sex ed talk. Girls in one room, guys in the other room. And I went into the girls' room because that's where the teacher told me I was supposed to be. And somebody yelled, "Hey, Bran, you're in the wrong room." Obviously they didn't use that name, but they said that, and everybody laughed, and I was kind of a little bit upset at the time, but looking back on it, I always thought, oh yeah, they knew. Our school also had this idea that cooties made people trans, which I don't think every school has this idea. At our school, most people forgot about this after elementary school, but the idea was boy cooties would make you a boy. If a boy gave you boy cooties, you would become a boy. If a girl gave you girl cooties, you would become a girl. Which I thought was hilarious and awesome, especially when a couple girls decided that I had boy cooties, and that was amazing. So yes, I've always been a boy. I've always known, I've always done boy things and hung out with boys for some definition of boy things. In high school, all but one of my male friends had at one point worn a dress, so decide on your definition of manly and keep it to yourself. It doesn't apply to my friends. Anyway. But I didn't start using the word trans until college. Before college, I had never met anybody who was trans. Then I met one person I knew came out as trans. Then a couple more, other people I knew in high school, in elementary school, and college started coming out as trans. But in college, the first person came out as trans. And at first, I still didn't think trans applied to me. Like, I'm not that special. I'm just like doing boy things and feel like a boy and wish nobody would call me a girl. But totally not trans. My life doesn't suck that badly. I don't qualify. And then one of my friends noticed that I'd been going by a boy's name. I went by my dad's name a bunch in high school and the first couple of years of college, and one of my friends who was also friends with the friend I knew who came out as trans, and was, actively involved with queer people, said, "Oh, I noticed you use a men's name a lot of the time. What are your pronouns?" And they asked me this over Facebook chat, and I wrote a pretty long, detailed response. And then I looked back over it, and I went, "Huh, that describes a trans person. I'm probably a trans person." And then I came out to the friend who'd asked and my parents that weekend. And well, at first I came out as gender fluid. I thought, oh, sometimes I have girl days, sometimes I have boy days. And then that was sort of true for a while, but then after a while I stopped having girl days. I felt like a boy all the time, which at first was kind of intimidating, and then I started to get used to it. And so now I just generally use the term trans male. Even when I was identifying as gender fluid, like, my idea of a girl's day was a, like, button-down shirt, jeans, and a blazer with, like, a women's cut, and my idea of a men's day was a button-down shirt, jeans, and if I'm feeling fancy, a blazer with a men's cut. Like, the difference wasn't that big. Also, when I thought about how I wanted to dress as a girl, my pretty much sole source of inspiration was Lois Lane from Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, which is a great TV show that I very much loved. And in the very first episode of Lois and Clark, they're introducing the characters. And Clark Kent is, Superman in a business suit. He's Clark Kent in a business suit, and he stops a bus, and then you see Lois Lane, except you don't. You see a guy in the back of a taxi, and then he takes off his beard, and he takes off his shirt, and he takes off a binder, and then this person switches into a woman's blazer, and walks into a journalism office, and everybody goes, "Yay, Lois Lane, you got the story!" So, my idea of how I wanted to dress as a girl was somebody who's a character whose first appearance on television is literally in a binder. It's not the most feminine person you can imagine. It's a pretty masculine look that I was going for even on my female days. So the answer is, I've always known. College. This isn't a totally unique experience to me. If you read Eddie Izzard's biography or you hear him talk, he talks about how he identified as transvestite when he first came out decades ago. He's been a stand-up comedian for a very long time, and he recently, like in the past couple of years that I've seen, and in his biography, which is something about trash chickens, he talks about how now he uses the word transgender, and when he came out as transvestite decades ago, he came out, and that word meant what transgender means today. It didn't mean just somebody who wears women's clothes. It actually meant somebody who, like, has girl days, and so Eddie Izzard identifies as gender fluid, or he says 100% male, 50% female, but the word that describes how he feels has changed over time. It's not that how he feels has changed over time. Yes, I am using this pronouns correctly. It's that he's felt the same way all the time, and the vocabulary to describe that has changed. So, it's the same thing for me. I didn't know the word trans until high school and college, so of course I didn't know I was trans. That requires knowing the word trans. So in order to identify as trans, you have to know the word trans exists, know its definition, and then analyze your life and realize that that definition applies to you. So, in elementary school, I didn't know the word trans. I couldn't have known I was trans. I knew that I felt like a boy, that I wanted to do boy things and be in all the boys' clubs. And I knew that I wanted to have short hair like boys. I did love shirts that were kind of dressy because they twirled. Who doesn't love a good twirl? Suits twirl. Anyway, so yes, that's the answer. The answer is they're all bad questions. They're all weird questions. That's my answer for everything from now on. It's a weird question. Let's dissect the question. I do like to do that. Okay, on to the testosterone update portion. I gave myself the shot for the first time without an RN, like, watching me and walking me through the process this week. My roommate watched and just generally chatted and went and got a Band-Aid when I accidentally stabbed myself. It didn't hurt that badly. It's already healed. Anyway. I messed up a little bit, but I just threw out the needles and started again. So there's that. I also got the dosage a little bit lower than it was supposed to be, but that's okay. In terms of changes, I was still super energetic for the day and a half after I got my testosterone shot. Not as energetic as the first time, but still pretty energetic. I managed to finish giving myself the shot at like 8:30 on Tuesday night. And then I was so excited and so not going to fall asleep that I went and rock climbed for over an hour. And then got up. So went to sleep at 11 after rock climbing for over an hour. Got up the next day, went to work at a reasonable time, came home, rock climbed again for about an hour. So after that I was super exhausted. And net result, more exhaustion. I'm really tired right now. It's been a busy week, just with random stuff. Like me deciding to go rock climbing. In terms of physical changes, my voice, so my normal voice, I don't think has changed at all. I changed the microphone setup, so it's going to be really hard to compare that. But before I had 3 voices. There's the, yay, I'm so excited, which is super high-pitched and annoying, and I do when I'm excited. And then I had the normal voice, which I think is still a little bit too squeaky, but that's what it is. And then occasionally I would try to talk in a deep voice, and it sounds totally fake. So this week, I tried experimenting just a little bit for fun with intentionally talking in a deeper register. And it sort of worked and didn't sound totally dumb. Like somewhere between the intentionally trying to use a super deep voice and what I normally do. And that was something I could actually sort of do. We'll see on the tape if that actually reflects in how it sounds. I've never had particularly good voice control, so I feel like it's improved marginally. So there's that. The other thing, I know there's at least one person who's trans who's considering testosterone therapy who might watch these, so in the interest of total brutal honesty, if you don't want to hear about all the details, feel free to stop watching now. But pause so you can stop watching. Clitoral growth. It's a thing and it's weird. I don't think it's changed enough that if I had a partner they would have noticed. I don't. So they definitely didn't notice because they don't exist. But it is occasionally marginally uncomfortable, and I've changed the way I sit slightly. It's not really a big deal. It's just a weird thing that I've noticed. But yeah, that's a video. Thanks for watching. Bye!